This video is going to work like this. I'm going to begin by giving you my prediction for question 5, the description question. Then I'm going to give you a 5-point plan that will help you answer it, even if the prediction is wrong. And then I'm going to show you how that would have worked for 3 past paper questions. Now, the prediction. First up, this is the pattern of questions previously. In 2022, there was a picture of a place. People exploded in the exam hall and fainted because it was a place none of them recognised, and so they ended up writing the story. In November 2021, the picture was people. In June 2019, it was a picture of place and people. In November of 2018, place and people. And in June 2018, a face, a person. So my prediction, looking at that pattern, is that you are going to get a person. So let's begin there. Start off by imagining that this person, the image you're given, is a photograph or a painting which has been done deliberately by a painter or a photographer. And you're going to imagine who that painter or photographer is. You can prepare that now before you go into the exam. So you have a persona in the bank who you're going to bring out of the safety deposit box. This is a terrible metaphor, but you get the idea. They are going to perform for you tomorrow or whenever your exam is. So now you've chosen your painter and photographer, you're thinking about the image and you're going to look at it and think, right, why is it lit in that particular way? What features are being emphasised or hidden in shadow? Why is it framed in this particular way? Do we focus on the eyes or the mouth or the expression? What is it that this photographer or painter wants us to see? And then, why are the colours important? Not generally, but to this specific persona that you've invented. So imagine a picture of me. You won't get me in the exam, I hope, but you never know. So here I am, and who's going to paint me? Is it somebody who loves me or somebody who hates me? So either of those will give you an interesting perspective. You can have a very angry observer or someone who's very sympathetic. What's the lighting like? Well, I've got my side light on to get my cheekbones looking as slim as possible because I've put on a lot of weight out in Vietnam and Cambodia. But my painter or photographer wants to hide this fact from you and present me in a flattering light. Why this particular framing? Well, obviously, because this is more important in the video than my face. My face is just at the side. But you might decide to have the face center image to emphasize the importance, or the flaws in the face revealing the flaws in the character. Why the particular colors? Well, black frames the face so that you just focus on it, or there could be a matching to the color of the glasses. However you want to do it, or you might decide that black fits the somber mood of this character, or that it is a bit foreshadowing of an early death. Maybe I'm going to have a heart attack in the middle of this video. I hope not, because I'm not sponsored by the Red Cross. Anyway, why this person or place? Well, that's easy. You just make up a reason why this figure is important. Is it important as a famous person or a relative or a role model or somebody that you want to sympathise with because of their experiences in life, or somebody you want to detest because of something they've done in life? Then you introduce a flashback. That always gets you high marks because it is a structural feature and it's something that most students would not do. Who is going to have the flashback? Well, it's going to be the painter or photographer, and in this flashback they're going to be reminded. So they might look at my face and remember their father, or their grandfather, or their great-grandfather, or the worst teacher they ever had at school, or EastEnders and the Bald Twins, whatever it is, it doesn't matter. The flashback will give you another perspective, another way at looking at the image, because it reminds you of something from the past. Then we need to end the piece, and the easiest way to do that to give it a structure that the examiner will like, is a circular structure. And so you return to what you had at the beginning, who was the painter or the photographer, and you're going to say why this moment is important, this moment that they've captured within the frame. Maybe this is a moment of wisdom, or maybe this is a moment where they change their opinion about the character, or maybe this is the moment where the character made the photographer or painter change their opinion about what they were going to do with their lives. Now you can see that this description, it will also work if the question is a story, because you have events. You have this event here, which is about the future. You have this event here, which is about the past. It all fits together in one nice, neat, circular structure. How many paragraphs are you going to write? The real answer is, it doesn't matter, but I know that students obsess about this. So you can have 5. You could do this as 5 separate paragraphs, or you could have more paragraphs for any of them. It doesn't really matter, but your minimum, obviously your minimum is going to be 5. That's the order. It always works. It's always going to get you top grades because it has 2 aspects of structure in it. You'll never have to plan anything because if you just follow that through, the ideas will come to you. Okay, Mr. Salles, you seem pretty confident that it's going to be a face, but what if it ain't? Okay, well, let's pick picture. So the picture is annoying. It's loads of people crossing what looks like a bridge or a plaza. It doesn't matter which, it's not clear, so we can choose whatever we want. And the question was about sunset and place. But obviously we also have all these people, and so we can stick them in. We can decide that the photographer has blurred the people out because maybe this was, I don't know, some spies crossing the bridge. It was top secret and they couldn't risk exposing their identities. Could have been a huge moment, perhaps negotiating peace in the Ukraine or setting up an arms deal in the Ukraine. And then the sunset becomes symbolic because it's going to be the sunset of the Soviet Union. Someone is going to be wiped out. Or you don't have to pick anything to do with current affairs. You might decide that you want to write a commentary about life and all these people are blurred because they're in a rush and they don't have the time to appreciate the glories of the moment, the beauty of the world, the crimsons, the pinks, the oranges, the fluorescent glow of sunset. You can see how poetic I'm feeling. Lighting, framing and colour. Well, there are loads of browns and oranges. They're earthy tones to relax us, to put us in touch with our feelings. Whatever you want, it's easy. Why this person or place? Well, the photographer might be someone who's come from the rat race, who really wants to slow down, take stock of life, breathe and relax. Or it might be somebody who's really hyper and wants to rush around, and so they're attracted to rush. You choose. The sunset could then be accidental, a subliminal message to the unconscious mind of this rushing photographer that they too need to step back and relax. Try this in the exam, actually. It will help you. Relax a bit. Let the adrenaline work for you rather than create a panic. You can write about this picture in the exam, even if it ain't there. Flashback as suggested by this. Well, what are we going to have a flashback? Maybe a moment when the photographer was young and they'd lost their parent and they were desperately searching for their parent. In a setting like this, this might be why sunsets are intimidating. The visibility gets lower, or it might not be that they lost a parent. It might have been a moment of freedom where their parents and others rushed off and they were finally left on their own with their own thoughts, and they became at one with nature. They discovered that they loved their own company, and this is why they became a photographer, a solitary profession, the eye behind the lens. You choose. So you can see how that would work really easily. We've got our flashback. What's our circular structure going to be? We're just going to return to something in the image. It could be one of the characters. It could be how this photographer is now planning to change their lives, having had this reflection of why they chose this particular image. Our next picture is of a marketplace. Shazam! It's not just the scene of a market, it also includes people. The question asked you to write about a market, but of course you can chuck the people into it. Now we've got a couple here. Why have they been chosen? The man is staring at the woman. We can't see the woman's expression. Perhaps she's intimidated by him. Perhaps this is a kind of Me Too moment where he's going to brush up against her in the aisle because there's not enough room for them to get by. And he's going to take advantage of this physical space. How is she going to react? Is she going to tolerate this bit of sexism, or is she going to react against it? Is she in fact going to be a pickpocket who's going to steal his money without him being aware of it? So, who has painted this? Perhaps it is a feminist who wants to show the injustices that women face when men seek to take their space and seek to take their control. Or it might be some neutral observer who's just there picking up all the gorgeous scents and colours of the market stalls, and the people are just framed there by accident. They haven't even focused on them at all. Why the lighting? Why the colour? Well, it's vibrant, but it's also bloody. We've got these images of dead carcasses being flayed, and so we could decide on quite a sinister atmosphere. Perhaps the photographer or painter has a sinister bent. Perhaps they don't like people and they're attracted to images of violence. Perhaps they've been through a relationship breakup and they just have a horrible perspective on the world at the minute. Or perhaps they're getting through that and they're optimistic, hence all the vibrant colours, the sense of smell, the sense of life for everyone to sample, the vegetables, the fruits, the delicious flavours of life. What will be the flashback? We can come back to the relationship between the man and the woman. Perhaps the photographer or painter will remember the breakup, or maybe this will be the moment they remember from their past. Maybe this is how their mother and father met. Without this moment, the photographer or painter wouldn't have been born. Or perhaps this is a wish fulfillment. They are imagining a future date with this particular woman who we only see from behind, who is about to be asked out by the man. Maybe this is an opportunity that the photographer wants that's going to be denied them, and he's going to witness it in front of him. Or you can do it the other way round. It could be a female photographer looking at the man, and the woman is going to ask the man out, and the photographer wants this man for herself. However you want to play it. Now, I haven't planned any of this. Just following this structure through forces me to do it. I'm going to come back to my circular structure, and I started with the couple so I can end it with the couple, and I'm going to think about what their future might be in contrast to the painters or the photographers. So the story was about time travel, and the picture is in black and white. So now I'm imagining my persona is going to be a son or daughter who goes back in time to photograph their lost parent. They can't make contact with the parent because if they do, they might change the future. Therefore, they can't go and start photographing in colour because that would be anachronistic. There might not have been colour film at that time, so they're using a black and white roll. Or they might be using black and white to summon up this mood, a funereal one, but also a celebratory one where they're celebrating the past. Therefore, black and white is better. The images of light are going to give us a kind of divine perspective, as though God is shining these beams of light down. We can pick a figure who's in the light, who is the parent, or there is a lone figure outside of all the light. That could be the parent. Perhaps they had a tragic end. So that's given us the lighting and the colour and why this person in this place, the parent. Now we can have a flashback to some memories of this wonderful parent that the child is trying to recover. Maybe they've chosen this particular moment because this is where their mother met their father. And this was the moment that ignited the spark. Perhaps this has been an only child who's never met their father and wants to photograph the moment that the two meet so they can find out who their father is. The possibilities are endless. And then we can have a circular structure. Perhaps the father never appears. Perhaps the mother has lied to the child all this time about this meeting, this romantic association with a father who never was. Perhaps the father was a product of some other relationship that the parent has wanted to keep secret, and now the photographer has suddenly realised this. And that can be a tragic moment, or it can be a hopeful moment where all that matters is the relationship with the mother. So, a simple technique that will fit every single question that could possibly come up, unless it's just like a black box with nothing in it. But then you could say, no, I'm pretty sure there's a black cat in a dark room with the lights out. And so I'm going to decide why they've put this black cat in the dark and go from there. This is not an anti-cat video, although I do prefer dogs.